Morning guys, welcome to my channel. This is a dough that I made last night and I actually left it on the counter to proof overnight. I'll leave the recipe in the description box. I'm going to use it for my bagels and my bread rolls. This is how I shape my bagels. It's not perfect. I was trying a different way of doing it other than the normal way of doing the donut method. So let's see how it's going to turn out, but I don't really care much of the shape as long as it does the job that I wanted to do. I am preparing freezer meals, breakfast, lunch, freezer meal, and my cupboard breakfast meal or whatever to help with my load, everyday load. While that was proving, I took out the ground beef, 2 kg ground beef that I cooked last night, added about 500 gram. I think I did half of the 500 gram of grated cheese, yellow cheddar cheese, and I scrambled 8 eggs. I did both of these last night because I wanted them to be completely cold when I'm using them. And I am going to combine the 3 ingredients together. My ground beef is seasoned already. I seasoned with a bit of onion, garlic, onion powder, and I used a little bit of paprika, not too much. And I will combine these two, which I'm going to use in most or some of my breakfast meal while we are waiting for our bagels to cool. And this here, I'm making a burrito. Unfortunately, I forgot to take a picture of me wrapping it and flash freezing it up until I froze them. But what can we say? Here is my bagels. I boiled them a little bit, 1 minute on each side, and I'm using this pan with the cooling rack to drain the excess water, and I transfer them to the lined baking sheet. I lined it with parchment paper or baking paper, whatever you call it, and I'm brushing the bagels with egg wash, which is basically, we all know what egg wash is. It's egg and a bit of milk. Whisk them together and brush on top whatever that you want to brush on top. I'm going to use it for my bagels, my bread rolls, and my pastry. Yes, I'm making pastry. Not perfect. It's not gonna be perfect because I don't have a pasta maker or whatever that they call it, that normally comes with this that normally comes with the stand mixer. And this is how I shape my bread rolls, and I just put them on the counter, flour the surface, let them be. I cover them with these towels so that they don't get too dry on the skin. And this is my bagels baked. I baked them at 180 to 190 depending for 25 minutes. Sprinkled lean seed on top, and this is how it came. And I love how it looks. It's not perfect, it's rough. I think it's a true example of homemade. It doesn't have to be perfect. We are trying to feed our families. We are not striving for perfection. Once they are cooled, I cut them in half as I prepare to add my cold meat and the cheese on top of them. I'm not going to use any spread because I'm going to freeze it, and I don't like soggy rolls. So whoever wants to apply the spread, they will bagels I wrapped them in wax paper, and I ran out of cheese, so I used eggs instead. Just whisked them, added salt, put them in a pan, in a baking sheet, in an oven, and I cut them in sizes that was okay for the roll, and put them with the cold meat, and I also wrapped them in a wax paper. My pastry dough, here's my pastry cut. I made about 8 sausage rolls, with a bit of cheese, and I set it aside. Here I am demonstrating how I make my pastry cups. I didn't close my pastry cups because I don't like closing them, but if you don't like the dry texture of the ground beef on top, you can use 2 of the circles for one pastry cup. I love mine the way they are, and if you want, you can whip the eggs and put them on top of the ground beef and the cheese. Maybe it's something that I will try next time. We'll see how that goes, but as for now, this is what I am doing. I just put them in a muffin pan, add the ground beef mixture, and then I add the cheese on top, and that's what I'm going to do for now. I loved how they came out. These are just patty pies, beef patty pies, and the sausage pies, and the pastry cups that I made. I made about, was it 8? I think it was, I made 10 pies, and then I don't know how many sausages I made. Here I'm still using the method that I use for the pastry cup. I cut the circles, and I put the ground beef mixture in, and I close it. I call them the pastry pockets. They are easy to just throw into the mouth. You warm it. It's a nice snack, quick snack. If you are hungry and you don't want to eat anything heavy. And with the remaining dough, I make the pastry rolls. I just put a little bit of the ground beef and all of that, the ground beef mixture, and put it in a roll, closed it, and that was it. Now we are going to start on the granola or the breakfast, freezer and cupboard breakfast, which is going to be the rusks, the granola cups, and the granola jars. The granola jars I normally put in my husband's lunchbox, or when we go out, don't have time to eat, it's easy to just grab and go. I always have about 5 or so. I say maybe I make 6 at a time, and it's very convenient to have them in a fridge. It's quick. It's basically just granola and yogurt. This is homemade granola, by the way. The cups, I flash freeze them first individually or in a baking sheet before I package them in a plastic. I think in a plastic bag there's about 8. So what you do with these ones, you take them out of the freezer a night before, and it will be ready in the morning or tomorrow for breakfast. Here I'm toasting my raw nuts. I bought them raw. I'm just going to toast them a little bit, not too much. I don't want the burnt taste on them. And we are going to use 2.5 kg of oats, 375 ml of honey, and combine those 2 together in a large bowl. Why am I saying box now? And half a cup of caramel sugar. You can use any sugar that you have, dark brown, whatever it is that you have, and you can use that. And we are going to use our olive oil. We want our oats not to burn. So make sure that everything that you put in the bowl my muffin pans with the muffin cups, and I put a little bit of oats. Why am I saying oats? A little bit of granola in my muffin pans. Remember, guys, granola and muesli are more or less the same thing, just that the muesli is raw oats. You don't bake it. Granola, you bake it. And once all my muffin cups have a little bit of oats, I put yogurt. I used the low-fat one here on this pan. The other one I used the double cream yogurt. I prefer the double cream yogurt, to be quite honest. This one I just love that it has small pieces of fruits, but yeah. And once the yogurt I put the yogurt, I sprinkle a little bit of granola on top, and this is what I was left with. What am I saying now? Yes, here we are doing the granola jacks. It's just granola. Instead of a freezer. And this is convenient for when you don't have time to sit. It's secure, it's not going to leak. You can put it in your lunchbox and all of that. Next on our list is rusk. We all love rusk. I love rusk. My family loves rusks. It doesn't matter what type of rusk you love. I normally make the granola rusk, the buttermilk one, the raisins one, the icy and buttermilk rusk. It doesn't matter, but this one is my favorite. This granola one, I love it as well. Sometimes I put sunflower seeds in there as well. But it's not healthy because it has butter, man. It's not healthy, but delicious. A little bit of healthy side of rusks. But you know what I mean? This is the rusk. I'm putting 8 eggs here. 8 eggs into a large bowl. My bowl is not big. I realized that as I was busy as I was busy mixing things. But this one is for the eggs. Yeah, this one is for the eggs. Even the one that I measured my dry ingredients in, it wasn't big, but I was not going to change the bowls. I was lazy to do so. So we are going to add 2 cups of milk. The cup that I'm using here, guys, it's not a cup. It's half a cup. So I'm saying 2 cups of milk, but I'm actually putting 4 because 4 half a cup or whatever it is that is called. 4 times half a cup. It equals to 2 cups. So I just put 2 cups of milk, and I am going to put 2 cups of mas or amasi or ingomasi, whatever it is that you have. And if it's not ingomasi or amasi, you can put buttermilk. I also do that. But I think ingomasi the smell. You don't have to. You can use the dark brown one, the molasses one, there are all sorts of sugars out there that you can use. I just love the smell of caramel. I don't want to use caramel essence. So we are going to add a tablespoon of salt. Not tablespoon, guys, that you use on your table to eat. Measuring tablespoon. If it's the one that you use to eat, it is not a tablespoon. Your measurements are going to be off. And we are going to add the vanilla essence. It's supposed to be 3 tablespoons. Mara me being me, I was lazy to take out another bottle from the cupboard, but I did have a sealed one, so I just made 2.5 tablespoons. It doesn't matter, it's still there. The smell and the taste will still be there, guys. We don't need any perfection. Blank, I don't know what happened. It happened. We are now going to try and combine our wet ingredients together. You can whisk your eggs before you add anything else. I didn't. I just put everything together, and I'm now going to develop muscles while I whisk this together to make sure that the sugar is dissolved completely. The eggs are whisked perfectly. For it to be nice and smooth. You don't want the chunk, why am I saying the chunk? The mass must be absorbed into the milk, the eggs, and the sugar, and the salt. Salt, guys, I don't normally put it in my wet ingredients. Sometimes I put it in my dry ingredients. It's okay, I do that. It goes with how I feel. So I'm going to add 500 grams of butter. You can add the baking butter or whatever, but I prefer the taste of the butter in my rusks and scones sometimes, but I do use other butters as well, except margarine. If you're using margarine, guys, make sure that it is 70% fat for you to use it. So we are going to cram this into the mix, into the flour. My flour, guys, was 10 cups cake flour, 10 cups bread flour, and then this is 4 cups of granola that I measured last night, and then I added about 8 tablespoons of cake flour. Now we are going to combine this together and making sure that everything is well coated, making sure that everything it is well mixed. It's a mess, you can see it's a mess. I think if you are using a stand mixer at this point, you might need to cover it with a dish towel or anything, any cloth or a plastic or something for this mess not to be all over the place. So we are going to create a well into our flour in preparation of the wet ingredients. Okay. So we are going to pour half. Don't put everything all at once. Half of the wet ingredients. And because I don't have a stand mixer, guys, I use my hands. So if you don't like seeing someone touching the dough with their hands, clean hands, please skip the part where I am actually using my hand. Skip it. This is me. I love doing this. Even when I'm making bread, I love using my hands. I love to feel the texture of the dough on my hands. I wash my hands constantly when I am baking, so it is all clean every single time. Here I am trying to scrape the bottom of the bowl, ensuring that everything is combined, and I'm going to transfer that dough into a floured surface so that I can make sure that there are no dry patches there, wet patches there. Everything is combined evenly. No, don't knead your dough. You can touch it there, you can massage it. Massage it there and there. But do not knead it. You don't need to knead it. And from here, we are now going to line our pan with a baking paper. First, I'm going to wash my hands and divide it into the sizes that you want. I think my sizes were slightly big. Bake at 190 degrees or 180 degrees until golden brown, which will be from 25 to 30 minutes. And my sizes, because my sizes were big, as you can see here, guys, I decided to slice them in half and let them cool on a cooling rack while I bake another batch. This is not a quick thing to do, hey? You must have a day of doing this, and with load shedding, it was difficult. So when you bake it second time, it's going to be 110 degrees for 2 to 2.5 hours, or you can do 70 degrees for overnight. It depends on how much you've made. I made a lot, so I needed to bake them at 180 degrees. So this is how my breakfast, freezer and cupboard meals went. So I am sorted for the whole month, and I'm happy about it because that means I can focus on other things. So it's basically breakfast and lunch, so I can only focus on dinner.